Well, good afternoon, everybody. I think this is an innovation in itself, isn't it? I've been for the last 30 years coming to conferences and exhibitions for the NHS, and at 1 o'clock on a Friday afternoon, I've never known so many people around. So I'm sure there's great draws after I've spoken. So it's really nice to see you all. I've had a fantastic time. I don't know about you. I'm sure you have. The exhibitions have been absolutely remarkable. There's a couple of things I think that particularly struck me about all of it. Is that, first of all, as someone who's been to lots of conferences in the past, normally I would know about half of the people there, I guess. This time, I know very few people, which I think is really good. That's not because I'm becoming more of a recluse. That's becoming, I think, because we've got a whole set of people here who are not the normal greybeards, who are not the normal conference goers, but actually people who are excited and interested in innovation, which I think is really, really great. And I think that's an important part of it. And the second thing for me is that it's very difficult to go onto any of the exhibition stands here and not be really excited by the kinds of things that we are seeing here. You know, very often when you go to exhibitions, you see particular stands where you might have a 5-minute chat with someone. That's almost impossible here. It's fantastic. And the great highlight for me while I've been here was yesterday going on the British Lung Foundation stall and meeting Liz Dawn. I don't know whether many of you were around yesterday. Vera Duckworth, as many of you will know her, which was a remarkable experience for me. We had a chat. She'd met Lord Darcy beforehand and was getting very excited about it all. She said that I was the same age as her son, so she felt the need to mother me, but she felt the need to flirt with Lord Darcy. So what you can read into that, I don't know. She said a number of other things as well, which I may comment on the Q&A later. But I think a really dynamic and exciting expo, and I think all credit to the people who are here and the exhibitors and the people in the room who've driven this and made it a really exciting and wonderful occasion. But it's only one part of what we're trying to do here in the NHS in this country over the last few years and going forward. We are, as a healthcare system, undertaking a remarkable journey. If you think where we've come from and potentially looking around the room where we're going to go to, it is remarkably exciting. 10 years ago, we set off down this road. The first stage of that journey was essentially the publication of the NHS Plan. It's a really important document which set out that the future of the NHS would all be about building capacity. There'd been years of underinvestment, and now we needed to invest huge amounts, and we have, over the last few years, seen an enormous increase in investment in the NHS, building capacity, more doctors, more nurses, more allied health professionals, more buildings, more almost anything you could possibly imagine. And how do we get change when we're building that capacity? Well, our answer was big national top-down targets that were really, really important to us at the time, which brought us from a place where some people were waiting over 4 years to be treated to where people get treated within 18 weeks. So those targets of their time were very, very, very important. And then the second stage we got into, which was the whole thing about reform. It wasn't just good enough to put more resource into the NHS and to deliver through targets. We had to change the nature of the system. That's why we invented foundation trusts, payment by results, all of those kinds of things, which were all about giving more power and responsibility to people who deliver the service rather than the people at the centre. But in a sense, my view was at that stage we slightly lost our way. We got so excited with the technical bits of change that we lost the point of why we were here as a service. And that's why it was so important that we had the next stage review. It was so important that Darcy led that work, but in a particular way, not in the way traditionally we would have led that kind of work, not in the way of a small group of pointy-headed people at Richmond House plotting and planning the future, but by engaging people throughout the system. And I think that is the power of the next stage review, that it was built from the people who deliver services for patients. It focused on the thing that drives us all, various levels of the system, which is the drive to improve the quality of service to our patients. So we had the next stage, we had the 10 regional visions, fantastically compelling, in my view, clinical statements about the direction of healthcare for the future. So the question that we faced then was, how were we going to deliver it? How is it actually going to happen in practice? How are we going to move from where we are, a system which had delivered huge benefits for patients, predominantly through more of everything and national targets, to one which really was wrapped around the individual needs of our patients? How would you implement it? And what we decided to do was to go back to the basic principles behind the next stage review. And that basic principle was essentially look at the evidence, see what works, have a look at large-scale change across the world. What are the things that really, really work? And there were 2 or 3 things that particularly we focused on, which there was really powerful evidence. And there is huge evidence around this when you look at how large-scale change works. So 3 things I particularly want to identify for us this afternoon. The first one is that quality, very important to us all, is systemic. Quality is not just about an individual. You can be the best colorectal surgeon in the world. You can be so good that they make you a government minister. But unless you've got a multidisciplinary team working around you, you simply won't get the best outcomes for your patients. Unless you've got an organisation which is focused on delivering the resources to you, you simply won't get the best outcomes for your patients. Unless primary care can pick people up with conditions earlier, can early diagnose people and get them rapidly through the system and assessed, you simply won't get the best outcomes for your patients. So quality is important about individuals. It's important for everyone to be the best they can possibly be. But the way you drive up quality is by driving the system, by looking at the total system and the way it works, not just one bit of it. Very important for us, and particularly important when you think about the pathway work that we've had to do. The second bit of evidence was about the nature of leadership required in an environment that we were going in. I'm from a generation of leaders in the NHS who essentially made our reputations on delivering big national government targets. That's what the job has predominantly been. The future is not like that. Certainly not for senior leadership, and I guess for leadership throughout the system. It is much more about identifying the needs of our patients, of responding rapidly to our patients' requirements, of moving rapidly as technology and demographic changes move to look out to our communities and our patients, rather than managing the message from Whitehall. That is quite a different set of skills that are required. That's one of the reasons we're investing so much in leadership development over the next period. And the third thing, the third bit of evidence that particularly relates to why we're here today, and in a sense is driving it, is that organisations and systems that focus their attention on poor performance tend to be poor performing. If you focus all of your attention on dealing with the outliers, you simply won't get the change that you need. Those organisations and systems that support the leading edge, which support the change makers, which support the risk takers, which support the innovators, are ones that are much more likely to deliver real change for their patients and real change for their customers. All 3 of those things, quality is systemic, the nature of leadership, and the importance of innovation, are crucial as we take the NHS through the next stage of this journey. And this exhibition is one part of that journey.